Hey there, it's Aaron. In this video I want to demonstrate two things. One is the power of Leonardo AI, and the second is that Adobe Firefly right now has restricted many words, terms, themes, what have you. So right now if I were to type into, or I have typed here, into Firefly, a scene in a British trench in World War I, and I generate this, we'll see what happens. So it's processing, but then it comes back saying we encountered a safety issue with this image, please try again. And if I keep refreshing, it will come back with that same error. So it will not generate a scene in a British trench in World War I. I'm going to copy this, and I'm switching over here to Leonardo AI, and I'm going to paste that same prompt up into here, and I'll try it with a couple of different rendering models. One is going to be the deliberate 1.1 because it tends to kick out some nice realistic images. So we'll run a couple, let's see what I'm working with for tokens. We'll run a couple of those, and let's also run them in RPG4, Leonardo Creative and Diffusion. Perfect. So we should have at least one set coming back here. So here we go. Here is a scene in a British trench in World War I. The scene is great. The faces are not well formed, or at least this fella's isn't. What else have we got? Poorly formed faces. Same deal. At least we're getting the scene though. So there's set number 1. Here's set number 2, which is RPG4. Better definition on the faces, better coloring, I think. Here we have a hit and a miss when it comes to faces. This is not bad, except that we have a browned out dirt item turning into dirt here, as well as the face being mangled. Yeah. Next set here, Leonardo Creative. Some of these may become more of a graphic art kind of feel. 1, 2, or 3. All of them, I like the composition, it's just the faces. Go number 1, number 2, or number 3, just so dark, from the Leonardo Diffusion set. So I'm going to go here and we are going to try add negative prompt. So I'm going to modify this. So we don't want anything that's out of frame, we don't want more than one head, we don't want more than one face, we don't want too many arms, too many legs, too many fingers. Mutation, warped face. So let's try with that negative prompt, and we'll run it through which one seemed to be the most successful. I think I'll run it through RPG4 and see how these turn out. Sometimes you have to do a little bit of hacking of the prompt in order to get it to generate a scene that makes sense with the content. But I'm also thinking it would be nice to run these as a landscape as well. So this is not, I like the coloration, faces a little bit better, but just very plain looking. This one, because the faces are not that prominent, this isn't too bad, but this one is just really not great. So how about if we say perfectly formed faces, and let's try this. Another thing we can try would be to generate a portrait of just one figure from a trench scene, and we might be more successful with that. Let's see what we have though. Here we go. Now we're talking. So much better in terms of the fully formed faces that I asked for. Some issues with the eye. Their helmets are really close together and it's pushing his up. That's kind of cool. Here, nice faces. This is a garbled mess. These are not bad at all. His eye. So we're coming along. Why don't we say detail, highly detailed. defined eyes, and let's try this. And I am going to switch it over here to a landscape orientation, and we'll try this and see whether or not this comes back looking like a nice composition as we have down below, but with maybe some less of the mutation that is really taking away from the scene here. So let's see what comes back. Very nice. Wow, that is a very striking image. Number 2, also very nice. Number 3, I'm not sure about the helmets. I feel like the helmets are maybe out of proportion. Helmets in proportion. True to life style. And we'll hit it one more time. We've got tokens to spare here. So the way that Leonardo works is you buy a monthly subscription which gives you a certain number of tokens, and I have a few left here that are running out, so why not use them for our image. Great faces. He looks like he's actually buried into earth there. This one not as bad, although you might wonder how he got himself into such a tight position. The faces also look very same, like they're twins. Here, that is a very nice image. With this in the foreground, it gives it a lot of depth, I think. I'm actually going to take this one, and let's do an upscale on it. Let's do a crisp upscale on this. See whether or not it comes back with any more definition or highlights or shadows or anything that really adds to the image. Sometimes it will actually seem like it's taking away detail because it smooths textures too much. So here's the upscaled, here's the original. In this case, I would say that the upscaled did make the faces have a more realistic, more photorealistic. So we're getting pretty hyper realistic here. I'll take this and I'm going to download that. And I'm going to open it up in Photoshop. And I'm not going to do a full scene here. I just kind of want to unzoom it a bit. So let's see what we have here for pixel count. It's 2048 by 1536. Why don't we simply go to 2500 and 2000. We'll add some space all the way around, and we'll see whether or not an image like this with heavy shadows, sometimes that will cause a seam of sorts. So I've selected my reference area here, or selected out the area that I don't want, depending on how you want to look at it. I'm going to hit my invert selection button, so now it's the area around here that's selected, and I'll hit generative fill and generate, and let's zoom in on these faces again. What incredible detail. Wow. I'm glad that I did the upscale. I think that it was more than a success. Just look at the detail of the fine lines, pores even. So let's have a look at this. That came out quite nicely. I feel like it did add a little bit of depth to the scene. That's variation number 1, number 2, or number 3. Number 3 very much looks like they're in a hole. Number 2, for some reason, feels more natural to me. Maybe it's just because it feels more open, like they would actually be able to get in or out. So I'm going to take it, and let's see what we ended up with. So in the end, Leonardo AI was able to deliver a realistic looking trench scene, at least portraits of soldiers that look very hyper realistic, bordering on photorealism. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to encourage me to make more of them, then like and subscribe, and I will see you the next time.